Hello and welcome to Swan Lifestyle. My name is Olivia and I'm a lifelong ballerina and classical musician here to teach you how to dance ballet for free with no experience needed. Let's go ahead and get our dancing gear on and get started. Hello and welcome to my channel. Just to quick note that if you are a new person here for the very first time, welcome. I do recommend that you check out my playlist above because each video in this ballet course builds off of concepts learned in the previous ones and I wouldn't want for you to feel lost. Now, if you are a returning student, welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's go ahead and get into today's lesson. So for today's lesson, I'm really excited to kind of go over the concept of artistry in ballet, especially when it concerns pantomime. So I think something that isn't necessarily taught to beginners in ballet, or people who are just starting out for the first time, even at younger ages, is the concept of artistry and pantomime. I think this is kind of a sad thing because one of the main goals of ballet, at least in a performance setting, is to be able to properly convey a character or a story or a feeling to the audience. Because yes, while ballet is a very demanding physical activity, it's also an art form meant to convey a message to the audience. Unlike theater and opera, ballet doesn't have any words when it's being performed. So all of the actions and the expressions and emotions and movements of the dancers help to tell the story of the ballet that you're seeing. So I think that's something really beautiful and also can help unite everyone because, again, you don't need to know a language to understand the story of what's being told. Of course, there is improvisation in ballet, but also there are particular motions that do specifically mean certain things. So when it comes to pantomime and ballet, those are those motions. And I would love to go ahead and take a moment with you today to go over some common ballet pantomime motions so you can try them at home. And also if you go see a ballet in person or on YouTube or somewhere else, you can get a better understanding of the story that the dancers are trying to convey to you. So when we talk about pantomime, what's interesting is that a lot of the pantomime motions in ballet were inspired by a specific type of acting in Europe in the 16th century. So in the 1500s, there were certain plays that were performed without words by masked actors, so they had masks on, and they would do specific movements to signify certain meanings to the audience. So because ballet kind of came up around that Renaissance period and was really kind of being formed at that time in history, that is why a lot of these motions are very similar. Also, I think it was helpful for some of these motions to be borrowed from this type of theater because it was already common in that time period and this type of theater doesn't involve any spoken words. Alright, now with that little history lesson out of the way, let's go ahead and get into some common pantomime motions and what they mean in ballet. So the first one would be me. So to signify that you're talking about yourself in ballet, you would put your hand over your chest and either you're looking at another character or to the audience, and you would just signify that you're talking about yourself by saying me. And you wouldn't be mouthing the words, you would just be doing this motion. Okay? Now, I think naturally we could go ahead into the pantomime for you. So in ballet, you would go ahead and point at the person. And I think something to keep in mind with these motions is the concept of being on stage and being able to show yourself to the audience and not hiding your body. This is very common in traditional theater as well, where you don't necessarily want to have your back to the audience. You want to remain open. So if you're my audience here, I'm not going to necessarily just look straight at the person who's in front of me in a ballet production. Most often, the dancer will kind of be at an angle towards the audience, so to the first corner, but pointing to the character who they're talking to. So that's kind of something interesting to keep in mind in theater and opera and ballet is that oftentimes the choreography, especially the parts where the characters are interacting with one another, it's very thoughtful in how the entire cast is presenting to the audience. So again, this is the pantomime for me and the pantomime for you. Okay, so on to the next types of movements. So now we have the pantomime for to hear and to see. So to signify that the character is hearing something, you would simply point to your ear. Okay, it's to hear. Now to see, in similar fashion, you're going to point to both of your eyes. So let's say you're talking with a character and they're having a conversation and the character is asking like, oh, how did you know, something like that. You could put like, oh, like you heard it, or that you saw it, or maybe it's a combination of the two. So next up, we have the motions for love and tears. So for love, usually a character would place both hands over their heart and kind of look down like this. Maybe have like their foot out in a tendu, but it could be in different ways too. Like they could be like this, or like this. But usually, more often than not, you're going to be going like this. That signifies love, being in love. And then next up for tears, usually the character would be like this and change the expression on the face because, of course, as I just went over earlier, to see is to point to both of your eyes. But for tears, you're going to have your hands slightly spread apart as if like you're drawing tears in your face. And of course, having like a sad expression on your face. So also another way that dancers convey their emotions on stage is through acting with the face and the entire body. So I think that's really interesting to consider that, if you're in love, you're going to be having a happy expression on your face versus if you're talking about tears, you'll be sad, or showing a sad expression on your face. And lastly, for this video, I'd like to go over anger and fear. So to signify that a character is angry in ballet, they'll typically turn to the side and go like this with their fists and make kind of like an angry expression on their face. Now, that could be either that they're going to fight another character or that they're expressing that there's another character who is angry. So again, we're going to have both hands up in fists and have a kind of an angry expression on the face, and that is how you express the idea of anger in ballet. Now, lastly, we have fear. Typically, the dancer on stage will put out both their hands like this, almost like a little allongé, but kind of tilted downwards, and kind of like turn away, okay? So for example, like in the Nutcracker, there's the Rat King and Claire's in the ground. She makes sure that she's afraid of the Rat King by running away like that. And again, usually if there is an object of fear on this side, the character would be turned away from it and trying to almost like block the character with their hands here. It wouldn't really make sense for the object of fear to be here and for them to go like this. So also keeping in mind the direction and the overall story and where the characters are placed on stage. So thank you everyone for joining me in this lesson today. I won't be doing a recap of all these motions at the end of this video like I usually do, but definitely go ahead and go back and rewind and watch all these motions again, and feel free to practice them at home. I'd also like to do a quick shout out to a very sweet subscriber who requested a video on how to do a pantomime acting like a doll. I will be doing that wind up doll video at the end of this module, so in the fourth video of me in this pink outfit. And we're going to have a very fun, inspired dance together where I show you how to do a pantomime like a doll, and we'll dance to an exciting track that I think you will enjoy. So real quick, here's my reverence to you. Thank you for joining me today and for learning more about pantomime and exploring artistry in ballet. I'll go ahead and put down below what we will be learning in the next video, and I am excited to see you again soon. Catch you later.